He's been cooped up in the house because of all the quarantine stuff going on, so he's just so I can monitor his weight more easily. I'm not coming out here every day.
And what are his favorite things to eat?
I diversify his diet a lot, but I'd say 50-60% of what he gets is quail, which is, very, very blood nutrient rich. It's very good for him.
So they're definite carnivores, and do they eat any vegetation at all?
Nope, strictly carnivorous, opportunistic. They'll pick up, roadkill off the side of the road if it's pretty fresh and not rotting.
Wow.
Yeah, anything to survive. That's the only thing they think about is where their next meal's coming from, and mating when they get to that age.
Now, is he at the age where he would want to mate?
No, not for another 1.5 to 2 years, I'd say.
Oh, so they don't mate until they're older.
2.5, 3 is around when they start thinking about it,
And about how old will they, a bird, this is the red tail?
Yep.
About how old would this bird in the wild live?
Well, that going back to how I got into this, I learned a horrible statistic, and that's kind of why I started pursuing this to begin with. 70 to 80-ish% of first-year birds that are hatched and born die in the first year of life.
And what's the cause, do you know? Or
there are many causes. When I first got into this, I got some flack from people who, staunch environmentalists who were, oh, that's wrong, you taking a bird out of the wild. It is and it isn't. That's debatable. If you consider that 4 out of 5 birds don't live past their first year, when I took him in, he had lice. He had possibly a worm. I treated him for that. He might have been one of the ones that didn't make it. There's a lot of natural effects, predation, parasites, stuff like that.
Did you treat them all organically with everything?
Yeah. But the main causes of their death rate is human-based interaction, traffic, pesticides, the overdevelopment of land, which eradicates not only their nesting ground but their prey species habitat, telephone lines. All of these things play a role in their casualties.
So if something actually happened to him, say he got sick for whatever reason, could you actually bring him to a regular vet?
No, you have to bring him to an exotic vet, a special vet. There aren't too many of them around here, but my sponsor's given me some information on who I can bring him to
something
if
happened.
I need to.
Yep.
And that's what the sponsor's there for. And when I first started, when I got my bird, I was calling my sponsor every day about something. My bird's doing this.
Is this right? Is this normal?
Yeah, it's like a new parent.
Well, he is your baby, right?
Yes, to a degree. I don't consider him a child. He's not. He's a savage little murderer, and that's exactly what I want. I want him to be a good killer.
Well, because you are at some point going to release him, correct?
Correct. I'll be releasing him back in the wild in another 1.5 to 2 months. And in the fall, I'll be catching and training a new bird, female this time.
So he's going to need to know how to do all of these things, and that's why you have to keep still those instincts in him?
Mm-hmm. He caught him wild, trained him. I hunted him 2-3 times a week during the hunting season. I've been feeding him during this period of time, this downtime in between the hunting seasons, with all the game that he caught and killed, and all the quail that I stockpiled for him, so we have tons of food. He's been cooped up in the house, so he's going a little stir crazy, as am I. I imagine as is everybody right around right now. So getting him out is good. Trying to think of what else as far as requirements to become a falconer. I think we've covered everything, the test being the hardest one. Legally standing.
I'm glad that it's not that easy, because you don't want just everybody to be able to just go out and catch a bird and think that they can just do it.
Correct. A lot of people out there are, enthusiasts, which is great. You can be an enthusiast. You can come out and take pictures and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Bird watching, it's just falconry is advanced bird watching and weight management on your animal, and that's what it is. It's the taking of wild game with a bird of prey that you've trained.
And that seems to be a big thing, the way you spoke of it earlier, is the bird's weight and keeping it in check.
Correct. That's the biggest thing, because if his weight drops too low, he could die. He could have a spike in energy levels that would cause him to just collapse. I was a little worried about him at one point earlier in the year, and I had to give him a little sugar spike, a little bit of, meat soaked in Gatorade.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that was smart.
He's food driven, food trained. What he just did right now, he moved from that tree to that tree. He moved closer, following tree to tree. That's what he's trained to do.
And is he following you as well?
Yeah.
Because you're kind of his master, if you will?
In his eyes, I'm his partner.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't ever put myself above him.
So you're not
He's
an
always
alpha?
above me. Nope.
Okay.
We're equal. He understands that I am a food provider and I take care of him, but at the same time, he can take care of himself.
And you want him to be able to do that?
Yeah. Right. He does this in the wild when we hunt. I'll put him up in a tree. I don't know if you can see him, but he's right there. I'll put him up in a tree, and then I'll walk through the brush with a stick or a dog or whatever, and I'll try and drive game out. I'll try and drive squirrels up trees, and his eyes are so much better than mine. I don't even bother looking for stuff.
He finds it.
He'll see it before I do. So my job is just to flush.
Okay, so.
And he's hunting right now. I'm not hunting with him. I'm not in the brush. But he's hunting on his own all the time. See, there's a tree between us.
There you go.
Yep. There's a tree between us, so he has to find a good path. Good boy.
Nice.
And sometimes in the wild, or not in the wild, excuse me, sometimes when we're out hunting, he'll be a little more reluctant than that. I'll blow the whistle 6, 7 times, he won't come.
Because he's real spot on his hunting?
Either he's on something, or his weight's up and he's just be like, I don't care. So in that case, I'll move a little closer, I'll make it easier for him to come down to the glove. Right there, he'd dive down and around a tree and then come up to me.
It was beautiful, by the way. Yeah.
I don't push it very much as far as distance. The farthest I've gotten him to come to me is probably about 100 yards. And I don't even want to try anything more than that.
So what now, him being, say, I guess about a year old, what would be your biggest concerns once you do release him? What would actually be would he be prey for?
There's not much that he'd be prey for other than some species of owls. And
they'll take down a big hawk?
Oh yeah. So he hunts in the day, they hunt at night. It's that twilight hour, sunset, sunrise, where they're in competition with one another for food resources and nesting grounds. His biggest threat, honestly, is humans. Besides humans, it's other redtails. They're territorial, solitary apex predators, and until they're mated and paired up, they're on their own.
And do they mate for life?
No. If something happens to one of their mates, they'll go get a new one. They're opportunists like that, but so are humans. Can't really judge them or fault them there.
So they even cheat? Jeez.
They don't cheat. When they're mated, they're mated. It's that simple. But if something happens to their mate, they will get another one.
And then they'll stay together, but they'll protect their territory just as the two of them.
Correct.
And then they'll keep their nest, but then how old will their offspring be before they say, see you later, this is our area?
Not very long. You'd be surprised. So when I found him, he was fully grown. He was about the same size he is now, and he was flying with 2 large female siblings and both of his parents. They were all flying around together in a cast, is what we call that. But once
So they're not a flock, they're a cast.
No. Once the juvenile birds start catching game on their own, once they prove to be able to catch game on their own, parents will chase them out. They'll actually become aggressive towards them.
And they have to find their own area.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Which is the only thing I'm nervous about with him. The one thing that got me a little worked up is I'm going to probably be releasing him here, but I know there's 2 or 3 other native birds that live on this farm.
Yep.
There's a very good chance they'll chase him out.
That big female that we see?
That big female, yeah.
Have you seen her partner too? If she doesn't have a partner, she might be into younger men.
I hope, because I would love for him to stick around this area and just be able to continue watching him and maybe someday see, his offspring flying around as well.
So he could grow to be, how old do you think?
10 to 15. I know you asked me that earlier, but we were going on the death toll thing. 10 to 15 years old in the wild, older in captivity, just because they get better health care and nutrition.
Right.
Max 20. It's very rare to see a raptor live past 20 years old.
And that's due to parasites and all kinds of things.
Yeah, and it's just kind of their natural lifespan, 15 to 20.
It is, okay. And would you say he's about full grown now, or will
He's
they
full grown.
continue? Okay.
Yeah, he's full grown. The only thing that's going to change on him from now on is his coloration. He's going to go through a feather molt where his eyes get darker, his chest will get blonder, he'll lose this belly band of brown, and his tail will become a nice red, rusty red color.
And will he end up being more beautiful, if you will, than the females? Isn't that typical of the bird species that, and like fish and stuff often, that the males are more attractive?
It's pretty similar. It's not really the case so much in coloration and plumage. They vary greatly. There's a lot of different color morphs in these birds. I've seen some gorgeous birds online, especially saw an all white one with a red tail.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that wasn't an albino, it was just...
It was, yeah. I'm not entirely sure what the exact wording is on it.
Okay.
I still have a lot to learn.
So it's not as extreme as, say, peacocks. You
No.
know, a beautiful male peacock is so much different
No,
than...
I mean, just the difference alone in ducks, you know.
Right.
But the red tails and other raptors are pretty consistent in coloration, whether they're male or female. Yeah.
So will he let you know when he wants to fly again, or he just,
Oh, yeah.
because you say...
Oh yeah. So I'm holding him right now, so he can't go anywhere. But if he wanted to, he would try to take off.
So do you want to explain why you use the bells?
The bells are for my sake. They do nothing but help me locate him in the wild. They're silent. If I let him go and he didn't have those on, he'd move 600 feet that way and I'd never know. But when he's flapping his wings and there's that jingle, and it draws the eye, draws the attention.
Now, I know there was one incident where you had trouble getting him back.
There was one day where I was out hunting with a couple other falconers, and he flew off, area I wasn't too familiar with, but he flew off and he was on a kill. He got something, but I didn't know that. We spent a couple hours looking for him. It got dark. At that point, they go to roost, they go to sleep, and there's no point in even looking. So I went home. That was a horrible night for me.
I remember the phone call.
That was a horrible night for me. Go. Let go. I got pretty good at putting him where I want him to go, but he has mind his own. Sometimes I'll throw him in a tree and he'll deviate that way. It also depends on the wind. If it's really windy, I won't even bother taking him out to hunt.
So is it because he's young, or it's just that in the
normal.
wild that they're...
Just normal. I mean, they have a hard time flying in the wind. And that's not to say that they can't fly in the wind. It's just much harder for them.
Well, like anything. If you go out on a windy day, it's harder to walk,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I love going out after fresh snowfall. That's my favorite time to go hunting because A, you can track game very easily. B, it's much easier to spot. You know, like the movement in the blanket of light, you can see it a mile away. And so can humans. But also it makes it more difficult for rabbits to run. It makes it harder for squirrels to climb trees. There's nothing better than being a falconer in a fresh snowfall. That's the best.
So that was our video with Noah and
Daedalus,
the movie star. And we hopefully, if you have any questions, put them down in the comments, and we can possibly do a Q&A or a follow-up video answering all of your questions. Thanks so much.
Thanks to Dave Noble for the bells.